All right, we are going to start on chapter 2 now with our first drawing. As you can see, I've got AutoCAD vanilla loaded up. I know it's vanilla because it's got this big red A up here in the top, even though it says Autodesk Civil 3D 2019 or 2020, whichever one you're using. And if I drop this down, I'm just going to create a new drawing. And we're going to use a template file. So these are Civil 3D templates, and we're going to come up here to the AutoCAD template, double click on it, and we want the third one down, which is our ACAD drawing template. Just double click on it, and we start with a new drawing. So this one says drawing 3, yours probably says drawing 1. We're going to look down here at the bottom of the screen where it says model. We're going to turn off this grid pattern, so we just end up with a black screen. Make sure your dynamic input is turned on. Your polar tracking should be turned on. Your object snaps, and if we let's just go ahead and make sure endpoint, midpoint. If you just want to click on that object snaps data set, you can select the endpoint, midpoint, center, node, quadrant, intersection, perpendicular, and tangent. Those are some good ones to have turned on. I'll leave it there for a second, or you can just freeze it. Just say OK. This one we don't need, objects and selection cycling. That's if you have a line on top of a line on top of a line. It allows you to rotate through. We'll leave it off for now. We don't need to show the gizmos. We do want the line weight turned on. So those 4 are kind of essential. Annotation objects, we don't need that turned on either. If you're missing any of these tools, again, just look at the 3 lines on the right side, click on it. You can turn tools on and off for what you want to see on the bottom of your screen. Okay. We'll go back to our Home tab, and we're going to look at our layer properties. And in this case, what we're going to be working on in Chapter 2 is absolute coordinates. And in the absolute coordinates, we're going to be placing points for our 2-dimensional lines and curves all from 0, 0. So the first thing we want to do is start setting up some layers. So just click your layer properties, and mine's opening up on a different screen here, so let me just pull it over. You'll see that that default layer drawing that we opened up just has one layer. So if we just right click here and say new layer, this one is going to be called bike, and we'll make that a color of, let's make it, I'm going to make mine yellow so it shows up nice and bright on the dark background. You can always change it later. Right click and create another new layer. This one will be called alignment. And we'll give that a color of green. And we'll do another new layer. And this one's going to be called text. Oops. And we'll make that red. And lastly, let's create one more layer, and this one's going to be called image. And we'll leave that one as that color there. Now you can see that 0 layer is my active layer. If I double click on image, that will create that, make that the active layer. We'll close this out now so we can see image up here as my active layer. And I'm going to insert and attach a PDF file that should be part of, I'm including it in my chapter 2, but there should be a table here. You don't need to do this if you don't want to, because the table's also in your textbook. But I want to be able to open up this, this table, and you'll see that I can place it here. It just has all of our coordinates, so I can use my reference right on the screen here to see what coordinate I'm actually working in. Okay, very good. We'll just leave that. We can delete it later. but it's in my image. So now we're going to change to layer bike. And with the layer properties for the bike, I'm going to make my line weight a little bit thicker than normal. So I'm going to give it a 0.35 millimeter line weight. The text, we'll give that a 0.20 millimeter. And the alignment, we're going to give that even thinner. We'll go 0.13. And that alignment has a different line style or line type. So if you click on that, you'll see that we have continuous and dashed 2. I want to load up a center line. So we'll come down here to center, hit OK, and now I have a center line. I'm going to double click on that and hit OK. So now you'll notice that alignment is set up as a center line. We'll work on line type scales when we get to that point, but for now we just want our bike to be the active layer, and we can close this out. All right, we got our setup ready to go, and we're going to move along now to the bicycle drawing itself. In the chapter we talk about setting the line type scale and the plot type scale. We're going to leave it the way it is right now. We'll do it later in the demonstration part of this video. So for our coordinates, and I need to look at my bicycle here, we're going to start at coordinate A, which is at 0, 0, and we're going to draw a circle. Actually, is that what I do first? Let's see. Doesn't really matter. We're going to draw the front fork of the bike and go from A to B. So if I just select my line tool right up here, and I'm just going to hit hashtag 0, 0, enter. And then I'm going to hit hashtag, and my B coordinate is 8.07, comma. The Y coordinate is going to be 20.07. Enter. And I'm going to hit my right mouse button to reset it. Now you remember when we set up our drawings initially, and if you don't have this already set, just type in the command options. This menu will come up then, right here, and it has right-click customization under your user preferences. If we click on this, it's going to bring up a menu here that says turn on time-sensitive right-click, which will act as my enter key. And if it's not turned on, just check it off there and say apply and close, and then hit OK. Now whenever I hit my right mouse button, it actually emulates the enter key. So now that I see what that front fork is, I'm going to come in here and just scale this up. So it's going to be more readable on the bike itself as I move that over to the side. Double click with my middle wheel. So our next point, and I'm going to kind of move back here. I'm going to go from point B to D. So again, I'm still in my bike layer, go to my line tool. I'm just going to let it snap to this endpoint. And I'm going to hit hashtag, and my C coordinate is going to be 12.78, comma, 31.77, enter. From there, I can actually go to my E coordinate. So I'm just going to go hashtag, and my E coordinate is 21.92 in the X, comma, 31.77 in the Y, enter. Now I'm just going to hit my right mouse button. I'm going to do the front part of the handlebar by just snapping. I just right click to remember to go back to the line tool again. Left click. I'm going to hit hashtag. I need point D. Point D is 10.84, comma, 31.77 in the Y. And that just puts this little line in the front. Okay. Let's put our front wheel on. So let's change to the circle command, and we're going to go circle by radius right here. It's the default option. Again, we can just let it snap to 0, 0. And I'm going to put a radius on here. My radius is actually going to be point BB. So I'm going to go hashtag, whoops, try it again, hashtag. I hit a button on my keyboard so we'll go hashtag. So point BB is 0, whoops. Don't want to do, I just want to do circle, hashtag. Bear with me. Okay, I had a little brain cramp there. So I was concerned that we're going to find the center point, and then we're just going to key in hashtag 0, 15, enter. So there's part of the front wheel, and we know that that's the inner circle. Let's do the outer circle now. Snap here, and that'll be hashtag. So CC is 0, 13. There's the inner wheel. I actually did the outer wheel first and then the inner wheel. So you can see over here, BB is 13 inches on the inside radius, 15 on the outside. Okay. Now let's move forward. I'm going to hit my line tool again. And look back at my chart to see where my next point's going to be. We're actually going to start at point B. So if you move down, you can actually find point B by that snap point right there. And we're going to go hashtag. So we're going to take it down to point X. And point X is 48, 0, enter. We can go from there to point R. So we just go hashtag 22.21, and negative 2.94, enter. And then from there, we can actually come back up to our B point up here and just let it snap to it. Hit your left mouse button and then right click. Let's right click again to continue with our line tool. We'll start down at this point, and this one's going to go hashtag. We need to go up to point G, and point G is at 32.91, 23.47, enter. Let's put our seat on here, so we'll just go hashtag, looking for point K, 39.93, 23.47, enter. Hashtag, we're going to point J, which is 39.93, and 24.96. We're going to go now to point I. So we go hashtag 28.25, and then 24.96. Now we got to go down to point H. So we'll go hashtag 28.25, 23.47. 0.47, enter. And we can just bring it back and let it snap to its original point. So things are starting to look like a bicycle a little bit. If we go back to our circle tool, snap to this point, we know that the next point we have is point Z. So hashtag 48, comma, 13, enter. And right click, find that center point again. And we're going to key in hashtag, this is point AA, 48, comma, 15. I could have actually copied these two circles over to this point, but for this exercise, I'm just going to keep doing the absolute coordinates using the hashtag. We go back to our line tool. We can put a crossbar in by just snapping from this point right over. You'll notice it finds the perpendicular or the intersection of that line, and because we've got our polar tracking, it leaves that on. Or we can just key in hashtag, and we know that's point F. So point F is 31.554, comma, 20.07. See if it puts it in the right spot right there. Beautiful. All right. So we got another circle down here for the front pedal gear, or the front sprocket. So we'll start here, and that one's going to be hashtag, and this is going to point DD. So point DD is 18.21, comma, negative 2.94, enter. Let's do our back sprocket. I can just right mouse button, left click here, and this back sprocket is point Y, which is going to be XY, 49.88. So it's hashtag 49.88, comma, 0. There we go. Now you'll notice we had our tangent turned on here. So if we go back to our line tool, and I just type in TAN, enter, and go down near that circle, you'll notice it gives me that tangent symbol. Just left click on it, and then we're typing TAN, enter again, and come down onto the top of this circle, and it will automatically find the tangent point between the straight line and that arc on the sprocket. Right click to do the same thing again, type TAN, enter. You'll see that little circle with a hat on it as your tangent snap. So we're forcing it to only find the tangent snap. Type TAN again, find the bottom of that circle. When you see that tangent symbol show up for your snap, you can just left click on it. So the last thing we have to do is create our petals. So I'm going to just start right at this point, and we're going to go to point P. So it's going to be hashtag, and point P is 22.21, comma, and 2.92. And then we're going to go hashtag. For the top pedal, we're going to go to point O, and that is 20.21, comma, 2.92. There we go. And then we're going to go to point M. So it's hashtag, and point M, move this over so I can see it. Point M is hashtag 20.21, comma, 3.92. And then we're going to go hashtag. Our next point is N, so that's 24.21, comma, 3.92. And then we go to point Q, so we'll say hashtag 24.21, comma, 2.92. Oops. Too many digits. 24.21 tab. 2.92, enter. And then we can come back to our original point right here. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Start right here. Go straight down to point S. Point S is hashtag 22.21, comma, negative 8.79, enter. Whoa. I got something wrong. So it's hashtag, getting too fast. That was looking for point S, 22.21, comma, negative 8.79. That looks better. There we go. And we're going to move to point T, hashtag 24.21, comma, negative 8.79, enter. Hashtag, we need point U, 24.21, comma, negative 9.79, and hashtag, and we're looking for point V. Point V is 20.21, comma, negative 9.79. We'll zoom in. You'll notice if I come over here, well, there's some tracking. I don't have my snap tracking on, but let's go ahead and put our next point in, which is point W. And point W is hashtag 20.21, comma, negative 8.79, enter. And we'll just come back to our original point for the petal. And right there we have our bicycle set up. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to my center line or my alignment tool, and I'm going to draw a vertical line on these circles so that we can show some alignment. And I'm just extending this up beyond so you can see the line scale. Right click, we're going to do another one here. And we'll do alignment on this one, just kind of showing some symmetry on these. And I want to be able to show using that center line itself. And this will be where we're going to locate these points. Now, this is where we get into our line type. So if I type, look at that line scale the way it is right now. I'm going to type LT scale. Right now it's set to 1. If I set it to 2, you can see the line scale actually increases by double. So we'll leave it at 2 for now. You can keep it at 1, whatever you decide. Those are our center lines. Now we're going to go to our text drawing. And before we do that, though, I want to go to my Layout 1 tab down at the bottom. So click on Layout 1. And this actually brings up a sheet of paper. And right now we're in paper mode. So I'm going to grab this border. and I'm going to extend it down to that dotted line on either side, just inside it. That's the printable area based on what you have for a printer. And hit escape. So now we can set the scale of this, and the scale is going to be, I'm not even sure just yet. I want to look. So let's try it at 1 inch equals a foot. So 1 inch equals 1 foot right here, which actually fits in there pretty good. Remember, this chart will be gone. So we're going to use 1 inch equals a foot as our scale, and we'll just lock it right there. You'll notice also that our line type scale doesn't show up here. So we're going to type in PSLT scale. We're going to set it to 0. We're going to type regen, and now you'll see that center line shows up. So it matches, even though we've scaled the drawing to 1 inch equals a foot, or 1 to 12 ratio, or 0.8.33 is the percentage. It rescaled the line so it kind of matches the model, is what that does. So it's the plot scale of the line scale itself. Now let's work on some text. So we're going to go back into our model. We're going to set up some text sizes. Let me just see what I have for text sizes going on here. And remember that text sizes basically are the same as the, or are based on your units. So we're working in inches. So if I want my text height to be 1 inch tall, we're going to go up here to our text. So if you click where it says annotation here in the home tab, you'll see we're working with a standard text. And if I drop this down, we're going to go to manage text styles. And we're going to create a new one based on this standard. We're going to call it absolute. You can call it whatever you like. I'm going to use a Lucinda Sans Unicode font, just because that's what I like to use. Regular is fine. The size is going to be 1 inch tall. The width will be a factor, and we'll just say apply and set current. We'll see what it looks like. We can always go back and adjust it. So if we change now to our text layer, I'm going to go to my single line text. I'm going to go down to point A, and I have to look back on my chart to make sure I get the right letters in the right location. Point A is this one right here. I'm just going to left click right here and hit enter. Whoops. Try it again. Single line text. We'll just type in the letter A, capital A. Hit escape. So there's A. Now I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to take that A, and if you just hit your right mouse button and say copy selection, I'm going to copy that A to every place that needs points described. So I'm just following what's in. And you might even want to turn your snaps off so it doesn't automatically just snap to wherever. So each of these, we know they're not point A's everywhere. But I'm going to just show you, it's just a little quicker to do it this way. And that's the center point. You'll get my drift here in just a second. And add another. And I'll put that over there. All right. So now if we come back here, and I actually have to go back into my alignment. I have one more alignment I forgot to put in. Turn my snaps back on. there. All right. So now if we come back over here and we just double click on that text, that one's going to be BB. And the double letters I probably should have given it a little bit more space, but you can see it's easier than by just double clicking and editing it. So we know this one is point B, and this one is going to be point D. This one is point C, and there's point E, point I. So just a quick double click on these letters allows us to edit them right in place. And you got to be a little lazy sometimes. K. Oops, missed one there. If you miss one, you can just copy the selection down right there. And that one is point G. And this one is point H. If you want to fast forward through the video a little bit to speed it up, feel free. Or you can just let it run while you're doing the same thing I'm doing here. O, P, Q, and this one is going to be point R, DD, and it's another one that, there we go. S, T, U, V, W. Oh, we're getting there. Just get these left. That's double A. And that one is Z. This one is Y. And this one is X. All right, beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do is actually create some text down here at the bottom. We'll use single line text for this exercise. Just left click here anywhere, draw a line. And I'm going to type in assignment. Oops, I'm in the wrong layer. Sorry about that. And text, there we go. So this will be assignment number 1. Absolute coordinates drawn by, you're going to put in your name and put the date 1/1/2021. I'm just making that up. Okay. We're going to go back into our layout number 1. There's our drawing. I'm going to click, while you're in the model mode, I'm going to click on this table, and I'm just going to delete it because I don't need to see that. And this is locked in place, so if you want to center things a little bit better, we can do that and then relock it. Now, everything's showing up as colored lines, so I want this to print out in black and white. So while you're in the model mode, go and look at your layer properties now. You'll notice now that we have 2 rows of colors. We have regular color, which is what was drawn, it was drawn as, and then viewport color. If we right click on this and say select all, and then select one of these colors and turn them all to black, you'll notice now when I close out of this that my bicycle is all black. Now the border on the outside, if I click on that, it's in the alignment layer. I can just right click and go to properties, and bear with me a second. bring it over here. Let's change the layer of that from alignment to 0. And that way it shows up in black anyway, because the paper space and the model space treat each other differently. So if you're in paper space and you look at your layer properties, you'll see that the colors are back. If I do the same thing, say select all, and make sure that everything is black in the paper space as well as that, it'll automatically show up this way. We're ready to print out this assignment now so it can be turned in. So we're going to print it to a PDF. And all you need to do now is just right click down here on your layout tab. We're going to say plot. We're going to change this to DWG to PDF, which will be pretty much standard throughout the course. No plot style. Make sure that any these lines weights are turned on, paper space, all of that. If we want, we can preview it. We can see that's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. It's going to put the student version tag around the outside, which is fine. Now we can just, if it looks okay and everything appears fine to you, just go ahead and you can actually zoom in on it to check your line weights and whatnot. And you may, if you want to get fussy like I am, I'll notice this O is a little close to the petal. I'm going to go back. I'm going to close this out and just cancel that for a second, go into model mode, and then you can actually draw while you're even in the paper space. And I'm just going to come in here and just move that over just a little bit. Okay, now I'm happy. Right click, plot. We're going to go to DWG to PDF. Everything else was good. We'll hit preview one more time. Looks better. And we're going to hit the little printer icon up in the top. We're going to save this into our, if you have a folder on your desktop, which you should, for CAD 2020, PDF homework, assignment 2, and you're going to create that yourself. You can see I've got a whole bunch of them here. And I'm just going to say save. And yes, I want to replace the old one with the new one. And it'll bring up a preview of my PDF file so I can see what it looks like here. Everybody should have some kind of a PDF viewer on their computer anyway. I'm happy with it. I can actually zoom in and just check my line weights. You can see the PDFs tend to be a little lighter looking when you look at them, but if you actually zoom in, you can see the difference in the line weight between our alignment lines and our visible lines. Everything looks good. We'll just close that out. You're going to submit that as a piece of homework. Always make sure we do a file, save as. Should have done a save as to start with. We're going to put this in our desktop. CAD 2020, my project drawings. This will be assignment 2. And I'll just say, oops, assignment 1, save. And you probably or just have an empty folder there, so you're just going to name it assignment 1, absolute coordinates. You can use your name, whatever you want. That'll be submitted electronically for grading as part of your homework. So that is your first assignment using absolute coordinates. And next week we will start getting into a little more ability to use relative coordinates and manipulation tools to make our drawings even easier to get through. Okay, thank you very much.